It's Monday, September 16th, 2019. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights. Tonight, smartwatches. So, I don't know who deleted the smartwatch episode.
Rim deleted the smartwatch episode.
I was 100% sure we had done a show on smartwatches.
Me too. Yeah, I'm also still 100% sure that you deleted it.
Best I can find is we've done shows on like Google Glass specifically.
That doesn't count.
And we've sort of talked about wearable tech, but we've never talked about like smartwatches, which is kind of good because only recently have smartwatches sort of really matured into an offering.
Anyway, so it's been a long time since we did a Geek Nights episode because of too much stuff going on. There was mostly PAX West.
PAX West.
And then my office moved to a new office.
And then you're also moving apartments.
And then I'm also moving apartments, and Rim went to Europe.
Yep, I was in London for 3 days and then Frankfurt for 2 days.
Right.
And I have a fucking story about how I got home.
The point is I'm still moving. I'll be done moving like in a week or two. But anyway, we've built up a shit ton of opening bits and things of the day and all that. But we all know what's going to happen. We're going to pick only one of the opening bits from that like several week-long period, use it today, and then all those other opening bits we're going to completely forget about.
Yep,
and on Wednesday, when we do another show, we're going to talk about like some bike or some train thing that happened on Tuesday.
Yep. Oh, so I was biking to work today, and I saw someone riding a trike, and I was like,
whoa. So anyway, so, you know,
so we each
between all those things, right, I have to talk about the thing that happened yesterday, which is that I went to see live in person Baby Metal for the second time.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. How was that? I saw your post on the forum.
Right. So, you know, I wanted to tell people to go. Well, I think the person who wanted to go the most was Chase Gordon, who is on the other side of the world.
He's in Singapore.
He could have seen them in Singapore, but I guess he didn't. I don't know. But anyway,
I mean, he's in Hermitage. He's working on Hermit stuff.
I know he's a big fan, and they're not good. They last came in 2016, so you had, you know, I assume they're gonna come again in 2022. Anyway, you know, the band had changed a bit, right? You know, there's been a lot of things going on with them. There was an opening band, which there wasn't last time. It was in Terminal 5, which is a shitty venue, right? So I was sort of like, you know, the opening band was this band called Avatar, which was better in person than when I checked them out on Spotify. They weren't amazing. The lead singer, you could be that guy if you put on that costume and makeup. But I mean, you could be a lot of metal guys. I mean, long hair metal guy is something that Rim can easily transform into.
Yeah. The only problem is I can't play any guitar, nor can I sing even like
this person sang, but
I can't sing.
The highlight was
if you need a metal trumpet.
He played trombone.
Whoa.
Moderately.
Wait, what is the ska?
No. It was just like
ska metal?
He was mostly singing 90%.
So he busted out a trombone.
There was one point where he goes back, he comes out with a trombone, and he plays what I guess I can refer to only as a little ditty on it.
Because
he wasn't like an amazing trombonist. He just played this one thing.
If a metal band needs someone to play a metal trumpet, I could do that, I think.
I'm sure that band exists. But anyway, so they open, and people are just sort of, you know, lightly to normally moshing like you do. And I'm like, man, when I saw Baby Metal in 2016, people lost their fucking goddamn minds. It was right.
So you're worried now.
So now I'm like, I paid here not to see the same band again. It's only gonna play like, you know, it's a really fucking short show. When you see them, you get like an hour, and that's it. For $60, it's like, you know,
it's not like going to see Meatloaf.
No, you there. They don't stop and talk. They have this defined set. They play it nonstop, and then it's like, boom, done, over, go home. That's it.
Honestly, maybe it's just because I'm in my 30s, but I prefer that kind of concert. I don't want Meatloaf to come out on stage for an hour to talk about his crap and then do four encores.
A little bit would be okay.
Tiny.
You don't even get one encore, right?
Yeah.
You get exactly the same thing as every other goddamn city. But
you know what? I'd be fine if encores disappeared.
The point is, I'm there because for some reason, when people go to see this band, even compared to, say, like, if you go to see fucking Metallica, people do not lose their shit the same way they seem to lose their shit at the stupid Baby Metal concert, right? So I'm like, are people gonna lose their goddamn minds like they did in 2016? I don't know what's gonna happen. And then 3 seconds after they come out, it's like, oh shit. All right, I'm old.
Good time.
I'm old. Oh
Yep.
god.
The I'm old feeling comes strong when I go to a good concert. So, for my opening bit, because so much happened, like I got a lot of stories. Do you want to hear about me meeting the Bundespolizei?
How
or do
crazy
you want to
could
hear
that
about
be?
my foot getting infected to the point that I had to go to the doctor?
Well, I knew that your foot got infected when you were poking at it at PAX, and
Yep.
I was like, "What the fuck's wrong with you? Stop poking at that."
Yep, because it was basically
You're
getting
just being
infected.
stupid, poking at your foot.
No, it was already. I went and got antibiotics for it because it was.
Maybe you shouldn't have poked at it. You wouldn't have had to do that.
No, it would. It was. That kind of infection happens no matter what you do.
How come it hasn't happened to me?
Because you haven't had a wound.
Yeah, don't wound.
I got a wound.
Don't do that.
And I got a wound that, because antibiotics exist, I was fine. But in an older era, that was probably like a 40% chance of
Should have
death.
Neosporin the wound to begin with, then it wouldn't have gotten more.
Actually, maybe not. Neosporin, not great on wounds, especially foot wounds.
Neosporin's good.
Nah, depends.
Anyway,
So my brief story is I got home from Frankfurt 3 hours early
okay.
because I flew like to London and then to Frankfurt, so it was very easy to book that as a round trip.
Frankfurt's the place with an airport.
Yes, Frankfurt is notable in that it has, as a city,
An international airport.
an international airport.
So does Rochester, New York.
Yes. Frankfurt is much bigger than Rochester, New York.
I'm sure it is.
It is a giant airport, but
I'm aware.
Frankfurt has this reputation for being kind of
Because not a lot of other places in Germany have airports.
Yeah, actually, they all do. They all have airports. It's just people kind of
Not the kind that you're going to fly to from America.
I've flown direct to Hamburg. I've flown direct to Munich. I've flown direct to Berlin. I've flown direct to Dusseldorf.
Oh, Dusseldorf.
Yeah, you forget about people forget about Dusseldorf. Have you been to Dusseldorf?
No, I haven't been to. I haven't been to Germany. I haven't been to Europe.
I've spent actually a lot of time in Germany over the years, but I like Germany.
I've been in Europe in the sky,
but
not on the ground.
every time I ever went to Frankfurt, I always came back with two impressions. One, the city's kind of low key and feels boring, like just very, very pleasant and boring. And two, Frankfurt's airport sucks balls. Like, I'm always delayed. Security is always a nightmare. Customs takes forever.
I thought Europe had better security. That wasn't stupid.
They do, except Frankfurt. Especially if you're flying to the two places that are bad about security, the United States or London. And I was flying to the United States via London.
What if you're flying someplace like, I don't know, China?
Oh, then you're fine.
China isn't big
You
on the
really only
security.
have a problem if you're flying from anywhere to either the UK or the US. Like, when I'm in India, you have to go through security 3 times.
So all the even more evil places on Earth are easy to go to.
Oh, yeah.
You want to fly to I don't know, Eritrea? They're like, all right, go.
Dude, like flying to and from Singapore,
There's probably no flights to
there
Eritrea.
ain't even security until you get to your gate.
I don't think anyone has flights to Eritrea.
But like in Mumbai, there's security to get into the airport. Then in the airport, there's security to get into the terminal. Then if you're flying to the US, there's another security run by the TSA. It's awful. But anyway, so Frankfurt, I'll skip all the rest of my story, but I got to the airport like 3 hours before my flight because
why so early, Mr.
Because
Global extortionist?
Because
extortion victim?
there ain't no TSA pre-check or anything in Frankfurt.
Willing extortion victim? I don't know.
There ain't none of that there. It's just the same line for everybody. And there's always crazy delays. I did not want to have to worry about that. Like, that's just that airport.
Okay.
So I get there early, get through security, sitting, like, just hanging out, waiting for the flight that's in, like, 2.5 hours because security actually wasn't a problem for once. And then get a notice.
You in some kind of lounge or something?
I was in a lounge hanging out.
Because it's for work, right? So they're paying.
Yeah, they're paying, so I was in the lounge.
Make them pay.
Yeah. If I'm flying, like, all these places.
If my work is flying me somewhere, I got to make them pay, get the fancy shit.
Yeah, because I flew to Frankfurt in the morning to work that day. So fuck if I'm gonna be like on an uncomfortable.
Well, also
flight.
if I travel for work, that means I'm spending hours I usually wouldn't be at work. Technically at work, I better be living life of luxury to make up for the fact that I am doing work at past 5 o'clock or on a Saturday or yeah.
So basically, I get this message. And I'm sitting in the lounge with my boss, and I get this message. It's like, oh, yeah, your flight to London is delayed.
Okay.
delayed to the point that I would miss my connection to New York.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm sure that your very wealthy company will just magically fix it.
No, that I got to deal with that
With
myself.
money.
There's a travel agent. I'm not going to call them.
Well-
So I'm already at the airport. So me and my boss, we go up to the desk and we're like, so we're not going to make our connection. And they look and they're like, oh, yeah. So there's no point in sending you to London. Let's see if we can help you out. Because, they basically... There's going to be a shit show with this delayed flight anyway. The more people they can deal with by not sending them to London, the better.
Mm-hmm.
So they send my boss off to get like some other flight to London that will connect a different flight and he'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then the dude turns
Why
to
couldn't
me.
they do the same thing for you?
So he leaves. But he's going to get home later than he expected. He still has to transfer to London like we were going to do.
Why could they have two people? They couldn't do the same thing for two people?
No, because this is ad hoc. So they turn to me.
So they found one seat.
Yep, and he's my boss. He gets precedence. They deal with him first. Then they turn to me, and the dude literally looks up and says, you are spry, no? And I'm like, I guess. And he's like, listen, there's a direct flight. So I won't even have to go to London. Direct flight to JFK. Get me home like 3 hours earlier than I planned.
Did you go in like a cargo plane?
A direct flight, Lufthansa, like fancy,
Okay.
first class upgrade.
All right.
But it takes off in an hour
Okay.
from a different terminal, and you're not even checked into this flight. So he basically said, run to this other terminal.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't even wait for the train to take me to that terminal. I had no time. Because think, this is an international flight to the U.S. that takes off in an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And
How far could it be? It's in the same airport.
Frankfurt's airport is gigantic.
I mean, even if I was in JFK and I was at, say, Terminal 2 and I had to get to, like, Terminal 6, I feel like I could make it in an hour.
Maybe. The problem is that internal air train does not actually run that often.
No, but a lot of them have, like, buses that drive around the airfield.
Don't run that often. I've been in that boat before. And also,
Even at shitty LaGuardia, I had to take a bus on the opposite side of security to get between the several terminals, and it just worked immediately.
So, but the other problem is, because it's a flight to the U.S., I have to be checked into the flight a significant time before its boarding even ends and before the gate closes and everything.
Okay.
Because the U.S. is weird about that stuff. So I run at full speed.
Oh, the police stopped you because you were running.
Yeah, so no. So I run at full speed to get on a train to get me part of the way. And then I run the rest of the way. I get to the Lufthansa desk, and there's a line of people even waiting for the first class, you are the most expedited possible person.
Mm-hmm.
So I talked to some random employee, and I'm like, so here's my situation. He said, wow, yeah, if you try to wait for this desk, you're just effed. Run to Terminal Z, and they'll deal with it at the gate.
Okay.
Terminal Z is a
Z
mile
is the
further.
last one.
So
It's the last one. It's Zed.
I ran over a mile wearing a suit with all my luggage.
All the luggage. None of it was checked.
Yes. I ran at full speed. I am drenched in sweat. I get to Terminal Z. I do not have a boarding pass.
The final terminal. There's nothing beyond that. It's just a hole.
The flight leaves in 25 minutes.
Oh, that's a lot of time.
And I have to go through security to get into Terminal Z.
Oh, okay.
There's a line for economy. There's a line for business class. And I see there's a line of 5 people for first class.
Mm-hmm.
So I talk my way past the person who is mad that I don't have a boarding pass to get into the line.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in the first class line, and it doesn't move for 20 minutes.
So you have 5 minutes left.
Yeah, there's no one to talk to. The line is just not moving. No one will tell us why. It's a giant shit show. The line's getting... People come up behind me. They're like, hey, can I cut in line? My flight takes off in an hour. And I'm just like, son? So then finally, I get to the front. I go through the security line. The clock is ticking. My first bag comes through. My second bag comes through. My tiny little laptop bag that has nothing in it but an Amazon Kindle gets shunted off to extra screening.
Okay.
So they pat me down.
Just abandon it.
They pat me down. The dude comes over. He goes through my bag. He pulls everything out and swabs it. The check for explosives thing.
I don't know if that thing works.
So, yeah.
I'm skeptical.
Then he looks at me, and He very obviously like hits a button under the desk a bunch of times and won't say anything.
Okay.
Just standing there, like won't say a word, just keeps hitting this button.
All right.
And then eventually someone comes over and he tries to say to the guy, he assumes they don't speak German. I don't really speak German, but I hear something, something, something Bundespolizei, which is like the German federal police, something, something Bundespolizei, something, something Bundespolizei.
Okay.
And then I hear behind me and I kind of look, and out of the corner of my eye, two heavily armed, like, army-looking people.
Is it because you were all sweaty? They thought you were nervous.
Stand behind
So that they thought you were maybe a terrorist, as opposed because you were sweaty when it was actually from running and not from nervousness.
So they stand behind me.
Is that what it was?
Not yet, not quite. The sweaty had nothing to do with it.
You had bombs on your. You had a
They
bomb.
stand behind me, out of arm's reach.
You got your bowling ball candle.
And then an officer comes up in the front. This woman. They're all heavily armed. The people behind me are like guns at the ready, but not pointed at me. But like they're standing there menacing like. And I just pull my hands in my pocket and I just stand there like, okay, let's see what's going down. And the guy pulls out my Amazon Kindle, like this $40 piece of shit tablet, and he hands it to her and says,
you're reading a contraband book.
And he says in German, and then he says it again in English after she like looks at me and looks at him. It tested positive for explosives. He said some kind of explosive.
Okay.
And the Bundespolizei person like looks at him, looks at me, looks at this tiny shitty Amazon Kindle, rolls her eyes, and gestures for me to go make my flight. So I run at full speed now, like carrying my like barely packed together shit, and I hear people in the distance yelling, "New York, New York, run, run!" And I run and I run and I run.
They're telling you to run?
Yes, I get to the gate. There is. I literally like get on the plane. They close the gate behind me and they start taking off.
How did you didn't have a boarding pass though?
They just dealt with it. I got on the plane. They're like, "Okay, so who are you?"
After you got on the plane?
Because it was they'd upgraded me to first class, so it was basically no rules.
How did they know
apply.
that if you had no boarding pass?
Because they were told I was coming.
Okay.
Another like 40 people missed this flight because they were all in that line.
Oh, okay.
I was the last person to make it on the flight.
Why didn't the flight just fucking wait? There's no.
Because there were a ton of people on that flight who would have missed their connections at JFK. So I got home 3 hours early, and I was drenched in sweat, and I sat down.
Well, I guess your boss wouldn't have made it.
Nope, my boss he barely made it to his flight, and got home like 3 hours later because he had the connection. I got the good flight home.
Yeah, well, your boss probably couldn't run.
Yeah, you are spry, no? No one's ever asked me if I was spry before.
They should put a bicycle in there for me.
Yeah, they should. Okay, let's talk some tech news now that we're back.
All right, well, while we were away, there was a big Apple deal because if you don't know, September is back to school, which is when they used to announce iPods. Now is when they announce new iPhones. They announced iPhone 11s, which seemed to be the same thing as the previous iPhone with a much improved camera.
Yep.
And colors and... No.
It's just a better iPhone.
I mean, the camera seems way good because it's got several cameras working in tandem plus software post-processing that's automatic and intelligent. So you can take amazing photos without a lot of photo knowledge and skill.
Yep. Well, they talk about how it is the dual camera system, and they're branding that slow.
You can get the 3-camera system going on. Yeah. But yeah, why would you buy this iPhone?
If your iPhone is very old.
Yeah, if your iPhone is very dead or very old.
Or you are buying your first iPhone and you don't want to wait.
I guess that's a good
reason. Now's the time.
Well, a couple weeks is the time.
Well, yeah, now-ish.
Yeah.
Don't buy an iPhone 10.
I mean, all the major things are going to be in the iOS, which you're going to get even if you have an iPhone 6. You will still get the newest iOS with all its updates and everything.
I mean, iPhone 1's not getting that iOS.
No, I think 6 is the earliest.
Yeah.
I have iPhone 7, so I'm good.
Yeah. I saw apparently, I don't know why, I'm surprised that this is one of the headlines I'm seeing. The new iWatch has an always-on display.
That's the biggest feature the newest Apple Watch has.
Did it just not have that before? Even my Android Watch has that.
All right, look. Well, I just moved my arm, so you can see my Apple Watch is displaying something. But here, look at it now. Look, it's just dark.
All my Android watches have always had the option of show nothing or show a lighter, like limited version, like a watch.
I mean, you can turn the brightness down, but yeah, the Apple Watch you cannot unless you have the newest one, which has I guess superior battery and I guess more energy efficient display. It turns off, and in order to get something to show up on the screen, you got to shake your arm or pick your arm up. You can't just sort of look out the corner of your eye, you'll just see a black screen.
I'm just saying, with Android, I've always been able to do that.
Yeah, well, that's why those watches are crappier. Even if I got the newest Apple Watch, I would turn off the always-on display.
So I actually,
Why
as an
would you-
experiment, because I have a new smartwatch, I left that on because it's on by default.
Well,
Batteries still last all day.
You're hurting the main bit. Yeah, we'll talk about
Yeah.
that later. But yeah, there's not really, it's like, they really did not have a lot of new features going on here. I
Yep.
don't even know why. This really wasn't even keynote worthy. I feel like they just had to do it because they always do it in September to try to sell their phones. But it's like, no one's buying. You know that no one's buying your phones. You talked about how no one's buying your phones, and then you have a chance to put out new phones, and you don't make any major new feature or thing.
Well, because
that
I
makes
think
it so people need like really badly to go and upgrade. It's like before it would be like, oh, new iPhone. Ah, shit, my current iPhone is garbage. Look how much better the difference between the iPhone 5 and the iPhone 4.
here's the problem.
Enormous difference.
There are not like features that are feasible that would be a massive shift in smartphone technology right now.
They're also removing a feature, which is amazing.
What, the headphone jack?
No, that's been removed
Yeah.
since the iPhone 6 is the last one that
Oh,
put in.
headphone jack.
I don't need the headphone jack. Anyway, they added a feature. It's really funny because it took them years to develop this feature. The ability for the touch screens to figure out how hard you're pressing. So that they've had this for years on iPhones, right? And it took them many years to come up with it. And so there are certain things where like you press hard and you can get like a context menu, right? But you can do the same thing by just pressing for a while.
Yep, and also my problem with that
Instead
is
of
that I
pressing
have-
like you can just press for like a few seconds and then open the context menu.
I, as a UX professional, am very leery of any mass market like daily use device having pressure sensitivity on a screen.
No, that wasn't the problem. The problem is there was no way to tell which things you could press hard on to get different options.
Yep.
So basically, no one ever pressed hard. No one ever did it, ever.
Yeah.
And then now they're just removing the press hard ability and replacing it with pressing for a long time.
Which is smart because watching adults, like people who are slightly older than us and kids, use their smartphones a lot, one thing I've noticed is that most people have terrible manual dexterity, and you're lucky they're even capable of hitting the icons on their smartwatches.
well, that, I think it's just that Apple loves to,
bury everything in
right, they don't want to have
undisplayed context.
Right, they don't want to have buttons and they don't want to have clutter, so they end up in the UI having like hidden mystery features, like to lock your screen on your Mac, you move your mouse into the hot corner, right? As it's like everything's always trying to make these invisible controls or things like that.
Yep.
And it's like, sometimes that becomes elegant because you manage to learn the thing, you use it, and the interface isn't cluttered and it works out great. And other times, it's just fucking hidden and no one knows the buttons there, like a fucking Kaizo block in Mario. And sometimes you bump into it by accident and like, whoa, and sometimes...
I'm going to start using that as an anti-pattern. Kaizo design.
It's a Kaizo.
Kaizo blocks.
That's what they are. But yeah, there's really like, they're coming out with the Apple Arcade, right?
Yep.
So it's basically a cheap subscription service where you get a bunch of, it's like a Netflix of video games for iOS and Apple TV. Really cheap. So I guess that makes it okay because it's cheap. But
it's going into beta,
Yeah.
and it's not even listed as one of the top 5 announcements.
no, but it's like, I guess if you're the kind of person who like isn't like, hardcore in the games, you're like maybe someone who's a Candy Crush kind of person, but you want variety in your Candy Crushing instead of just playing Candy Crush over and over again. Or maybe you got some kids and they're not, like console or PC gaming kids. They're just tablet gaming kids, right? They maybe it's good for them. I don't know who this is for, but at least it's cheap. So I think the cheapness actually gets people in the door. But it's like even gaming sites hardly cover iOS games.
Yep.
It's like, and every time Apple has a keynote, it feels like every single time they always show a game. Ever since way back when they showed, what is it, Doom 3?
Yep.
John Carmack was on stage and they were showing NVIDIA. And it's like they keep showing games at Apple keynotes. And then after that keynote, no one ever fucking talks about the games on Apple devices ever fucking again. You never hear about that game ever.
Yep.
Right? Like, I feel like there was a racing game they talked about at a recent, not the current one, but like maybe a year or maybe 2 years ago. You haven't heard shit about that racing game. I'm sure it's out and you can play it, but no one's fucking talking about that. Right?
What's sad though is that games.
At WWDC this year, they talked about a bunch of iOS games. No one's talking about those fucking games.
Games are one of the few things on smartphones that would actually require a lot of the power we're building into these devices to do something cool.
Well, because that's, they mostly use the game as a way to talk about it. The phones, guess what? They're faster and have longer battery life. And it's like, okay, well, they're already fast enough and have long enough battery life.
Yep.
And unlike a PC where, like, there are going to be newer applications that require this more power, not so on my phone.
Yep.
The phone runs Twitter just fine. I don't need a faster phone CPU for a faster Twitter, right? And then they're doing their Apple TV Plus thing, which is old news. I don't know.
$5 a month, slightly cheaper.
So
than
I think
Disney.
what we got to say is if your phone is busted or you're getting an iPhone for the first time, get the new one that's coming out in a few weeks. Otherwise, the rumor is new iPhone SE early next year. Hopefully, the small iPhone. Hopefully, that will be the real deal.
Yep.
If that doesn't happen, I'm gonna wait all the way until next September. The iPhone 12 is supposed
USB-C
is gonna hopefully be USB-C, and also a major leap in other areas. And any improvement they made with the iPhone 11, however minor, the iPhone 12 is obviously going to be better in every way.
Yeah.
It's going to have at least the same camera and at least the same CPU. And
4 cameras.
So, probably 10 cameras. Who the fuck knows?
One Gillette model.
Who knows what the hell it is, but it'll obviously be better in every way. So, hopefully my iPhone 7 can hold out another year. But the thing is, I think even if I reach those iPhone 12s and they come out and my iPhone 7 is still going strong, right? I might be then, even if I don't really like the cut of the iPhone 12 jib, be forced to get the smallest iPhone 12.
Yeah.
Because 5G will become a real thing, and that will be a significant feature.
We'll see, because the problem with 5G
if 5G is not a real thing and my iPhone 7 still works, oh baby.
My problem with 5G is solely that I don't have any use cases for it other than potentially a use case that I doubt will work.
My use case is
live streaming.
faster tweeting.
I'm already fast. I'm as fast as
no,
possible.
you can tweet even 5G. You can tweet real fast.
What 5G would let me do would be to use the phone to live stream panels we do at conventions.
I mean, you could do all kinds of stuff.
The problem is 4G is fast enough to do that. The problem is that at any convention, the 4G cannot work in that capacity.
5G is using old TV UHF band.
But the problem is, will
powerful.
5G still have that amount of bandwidth and that
well,
amount
for the
of low
amount of money
latency?
Verizon's going to charge me for it, if I get it, it better fucking be.
Yeah, but will it be at a convention when there's an extra 100,000 people next to you?
PAX
also
East has
using
great
5G?
Wi-Fi, so you can do it there.
Oh yeah, we can just stream on the Wi-Fi. But again, I don't have a use for 5G. Here's my problem. Everyone in the industry talking about 5G are really selling these kind of bullshitty use cases that are really overvaluing what 5G will do.
Make an app that uses 5G.
Yeah, but everything everyone's talking about are, we can do more Internet of Things, which bandwidth is not the limitation on Internet of Things.
No, it is not.
All right, anyway.
That's your Apple news for September 2017. Check back, I guess, WWDC next year, or early next year for iPhone SE news.
And we had some other news, but I think we'll skip it and get into the main bit because we talked a while, and it's time for Things of the Day. What do you got?
So, for once, I've got the roller coaster thing of the day instead
Whoa.
of Rim's always the roller coaster person. I got one now. It's a real short video. The video originally had stupid music. Thankfully, it seems YouTube copyright has removed that music except for the first 2 seconds of the video.
Yep.
So you are spared from the pointless music over the top. Anyway, all this is a real simple video. It's a video of someone riding a roller coaster. So it's not too often people video themselves riding a roller coaster, right? So that's already the odds of this video existing already pretty low. Most times a roller coaster runs, people don't take and record and save the video, right? Especially not video of facing at the people's faces. 2, it seems like this is pretty common. Someone riding a roller coaster stupidly with their phone loses their phone and it goes flying and never to be seen again. That happens a lot. What are the odds that someone would be riding a roller coaster with a camera facing them, recording, someone in front of them would lose their phone, and the person being recorded by the video would catch the phone?
This is amazing.
Not only, it's amazing that the person even caught the phone, but the odds of it being captured on video so well are so low, it's definitely doesn't seem fake to me.
Yep.
I'm usually the first person to say fake, doctored video. This really seems real to me. It's a really great way to spend the next 45 seconds.
I love one of the comments
your
on
life.
YouTube. Nobody would have believed that if there wasn't video.
Yeah.
I mean, considering how much change and how many sunglasses I've been hit in the face with over the years.
Because nobody would think to fake this video, and if they did, it wouldn't look like the way this video looks.
You know what? If someone did think to fake this, my hat is off to you.
If
Good
you
job.
if you thought to fake it and faked it this well, every hat I have ever owned is off to you. You just take them all. You didn't even score 3 goals, but you can have all the hats.
So, my thing of the day, because most of my things, I've been kind of rotating through these same 5 genres lately, so I wanted something very different. So, this is my most favorite recent Twitter account. Yeah, I'm a fan of those Twitter accounts that do something very specific.
Scary toilet, cursed cons.
Toilets with threatening auras,
Yeah.
cursed rhythm game controllers.
Yeah.
But this one is near and dear to me because it is cropped boomer.
Have you seen
images.
horny fight sticks?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
But so cropped boomer images is very specific. It takes those memes that your racist Nazi like distant relative keeps posting on Facebook. And the rule is they will take one of those Facebook conservative racist whatever memes and all they will do is crop it to make it
So
funny.
make no other edits besides cropping.
Yep, all they're allowed to do is crop the
One
image.
crop, not like several crops
Nope.
in a collage.
One crop.
One crop only.
And the results are kind of amazing. I'm just gonna you just gotta go look at these. You'll see what I mean. And I feel like what I want to start doing is any of you who have a crappy relative who posts this kind of stuff, every time they do, take one of these tweets and respond to them with it.
You didn't like my one crop only joke?
One crop only. The shit's gonna get out of hand. All right. In the meta moment, you may have noticed we didn't do shows for 2 weeks. So we're back. We're gonna be doing shows. I assume we'll do a show on Wednesday, though Scott hasn't watched Carol and Tuesday yet.
No, I haven't.
It's real good. You should watch it.
Okay.
But if you didn't notice, we were at PAX West. I have posted video of our panel that no one's ever seen before because we redid a lot of it. The 40 games you must play. It's on YouTube, along with the slides. We didn't upload video of the 40 tabletop games you must play yet because it is 95% identical to the version of it we did at PAX East.
Well, the convention you have to worry about now is PAX Unplugged in early December, I believe.
Oh, when all I know is we're going.
We are going for sure.
I put in panels. We will be there.
We're gonna
Come
be
hell.
We're December 6th through 8th in shitty ass Philadelphia.
Philly's not that bad.
It's bad.
Philly is one of the bigger cities in America by far.
It doesn't matter if it was the biggest, it would still be shitty.
All right. Would you rather live in Philly or Frankfurt?
Frankfurt.
You sure?
I would rather live in
Philly or Buffalo?
I would rather live in like the desert.
Philly or anywhere in the state of New Jersey?
New Jersey.
Yeah, really? Really?
New Jersey or Philadelphia easily.
I would rather live in Philly than literally anywhere in New Jersey.
No.
Literally anywhere. But yeah, PAX Unplugged, and then right after that is PAX South in San Antonio, which we will also be at.
You forgot the in between those.
The MAGA Fest.
Mag Year.
Mag
New
Fest.
Year's is on New Year's Day is what, Tuesday? And MagFest begins Thursday. It is going to be the year of the mag.
You know, when I was younger, there was always like school, like fall was the
Oh no,
time.
New Year's Day is Wednesday, New Year's Eve is Tuesday. So you
Fall?
New Year's Eve Tuesday you have your New Year's Eve party, Wednesday, New Year's Day, then Thursday, MagFest.
It used to be that fall was always the time where summer ended and school started, but now, thanks to a clustering of all the conventions we perform at, fall is when convention season starts for Rim and Scott. It's like September through March, we're doing conventions. And then we don't really do many the rest of the year. We once again forgot to even submit anything to Anime NYC.
No, well.
I want to go every year, and I just forget.
No.
Also, I haven't written any new anime content in a long time.
Anyway, the book club selection is a book that I started reading a little bit. It's long.
Yep.
It is The Tale of Genji. I wonder if we could like maybe figure out which volume was the first volume and only read that because it was several volumes over a long
you
period of
picked
time.
it. Scott, unabridged.
As I know, unabridged.
I feel like what we
You
need
gotta get the unabridged deluxe edition of The Tale of Genji by Murasaki Shikibu. It is the first novel in human history, period. There were other fictional literature before them, but they were not novels. They were like epic tales or novel, smaller things.
oral traditions.
There were no novels before this book, arguably.
Yep.
Pretty much it's the first novel.
I feel like as we start really reading it, we'll sort of occasionally talk about it because it'll be a while before we do a book club book on it. I encourage you to read this along with us starting now-ish.
Yep.
Otherwise, that's it. We're going to actually be doubling down on content again now that we're back. Most of our big life changes and moving and travel and everything are going to calm down other than conventions.
In a couple weeks.
Yep. So stay tuned.
Mostly October and November are going to be normal, but of course November always has a lot of Thanksgiving shit
Yep.
going on, and
But
October
that's
has the Halloween shit.
But there will be no like unexpected or unplanned like big hiatuses for a while.
Right. And then December is going to be unplugged. Holidays, Mag Year, PAX South.
Yep.
Then a quiet period, then PAX East again already.
Yep. The good news is
And then fucking summer.
while we tend to skip a lot of shows during that time of the year, we make up for it by having a shit ton of panels to put on YouTube.
Yep.
And it's usually that's when we're doing all the new stuff that we haven't done before.
All right, anyway, it's starting to, whatever.
Yep. So, smartwatches.
I can't believe we definitely did a show on this that you deleted.
So Scott, I guess we got to back up. This is not like a review of the iWatch or anything. What is a smartwatch and why should we care?
Well, I mean, a watch is a thing.
It's a relic from an ancient age.
Yes.
Best relegated to history.
I am not a fan of I enjoy the crafts. It is a very nerdy and respectable thing, to make watches, right? And the craftsmanship of watches I have high respect for, right? To just take some fucking gears and a small power source, whether it's, a mechanical wound up spring or whatever it is, a battery, right? And somehow create a device that will keep perfect or close to perfect time that is incredibly small and intricate is worthy of much praise.
Yeah.
But the culture of people who collect, spend as much money on watches as people would spend on cars and do all sorts of other, right? Wear giant fucking gaudy ass watches on their wrist.
Yep.
Right?
Wearing a giant chronometer. Like, yeah,
Right.
what are you using that for?
Odell, or they have the watch, good to a zillion meters diving watch. You never go in the water with it ever, right? Or like, you see Odell Beckham Jr., who's sent to the Cleveland Browns, is wearing like a watch that's several $100,000 while playing football, which is against the
Yep.
rules. Even you're not allowed to.
But if we
I
ignore-
hate that watch culture.
But
right?
we're talking about this from a technology standpoint solely. And in technology, the wristwatch, much like the pocket watch, were made entirely obsolete by the smartphone, except in very specific circumstances.
Right, for many years. So in my earliest days, right, I had, like Timex watch. I had Mickey Mouse watch.
Yep.
Learn how to tell time. That's a great watch.
I wore watches when I was young because oftentimes there was no way to know what time it was otherwise.
Yeah.
Unless you were in school where there's a clock in every room.
Yep. Then I had Timex watch, which was with the 2 buttons on the front, the Iron Man one.
Yep.
Which is a great watch because it had also a little alarm, right? And it had a stopwatch, which you would play with when you were a kid, but
Yep.
it wasn't really useful for much.
The one thing I did,
Unless-
is I always used a watch with a sweeping second hand. Always. Even when I was very young.
Not the ticking kind?
Nope, ticking kind sucks.
I like the digital kind.
But sweeping kind for a reason, because what I did in school, all through elementary school, all through middle school, is I would figure out the timing on when the bells would actually ring, and I would synchronize my watch to that exactly. So I would know the exact instant the bell would ring. So occasionally I could do funny things like in a random class in middle school, get up and start walking toward the door, and the teacher just would be about to be like, "Hey, where are you?" And then the bell would ring just as I get to the threshold of the room. Like, I
You could do
crap
that
like
with
that.
a ticking second hand also.
Yeah, but the ticking second-hand watches tended to not be as accurate.
Anyway.
Anyway,
The point is, once we had smartphones, we're now carrying, or even not even smartphones, just cell phones.
Yep.
Even like Motorola StarTAC phone, especially ones that had a little tiny display on the outside, like my little Samsung or LG, whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, my old flip
My
phone, the
flippy
battery
phone.
would last like a week unless I talked
Right,
on
I had
it.
a little flippy phone. It had the time on the outside. So now I don't need a fucking thing on my wrist anymore, especially since I always lose the wristwatches anyway.
Yep, because now
Right.
basically everyone effectively had a pocket watch.
Yep.
Whether they wanted one or not, you just had a pocket watch.
So now what's the point of fucking watches? We don't need those.
Yep, so basically as soon as I got a cell phone, I took my watch off and I never wore a watch again.
Right. But then, we had this problem that came up later, which we had smartphones and all kinds of notifications coming in. And even though I manage my notifications very heavily, as much as I manage like my email filters, so
Yep.
hardly any notifications happen, the ones that do happen are important. So when my phone goes ding, I take it out of my pocket and look at it. And for several years, that's what I was doing. iPhone 3G, 4, 5, 6. I was taking my phone out of my pocket every time it went ding to see what the hell it was.
Which is a little bit of a problem.
Right,
because,
even if it's something important, it's kind of annoying to constantly be taking the phone
but
out.
more importantly, not necessarily for us all the time, but definitely for a lot of people, once you take the phone out to look at that notification, and for security, you probably got to unlock the phone before you see the notification.
Yep.
Otherwise, people can steal your 2FA codes.
Yep.
Now Twitter's right there, and maybe you check something. You start
Yep.
poking at your phone.
Also, you've now turned the screen on your phone, killing its battery.
Yep, and until recently, smartphones batteries didn't often last all day if you used them.
Right. So when the Pebble Watch came out, I was like, hell yes, this is the thing I want. It is a watch, right?
But the
It
fact that it
shows-
told time was like literally the last feature I gave a
Right.
shit about.
It had a whole bunch of features. You could even get games on there, customize the software. It was nice to be able to customize the screen
Yep.
and stuff. But the main feature, the only one I cared about, was that I would get notifications on the watch, so I could, if it went ding, I could look at the watch and not have to take my phone out of my pocket.
Yep.
Not taking the phone out of the pocket means saving battery. It means saving time. It means saving a lot of things. Worth going back to having a watch on my wrist.
And that's
I
literally
wouldn't
all
even
I
have
cared
to
about.
take it out of the pocket to look at the time.
I don't need to use my watch to like look at a map or watch a movie or anything. I just wanted it to give me notifications because if I was going to do anything from there, I would get my phone out because now I'm actually going to use my phone like a little computer.
Mm-hmm.
The only other thing I cared about was, I run a lot and I do a lot of sports. I like to be able to use Strava and things to track my runs. I use the smartwatch. I don't even need a watch that on its own will do GPS, partly because they tend to be not that good at it, even the fancy ones compared to a phone, for reasons I don't want to get into right now about antennas
I'll get
and
into
chips.
I'll do it.
No. Well, we'll get into that when we talk, because even the fancy smartwatches tend to be a little less accurate than also having the phone in your pocket.
Mm.
But I wanted to be able to just hit a button on my watch and then immediately start running instead of like pulling my phone out of my pocket, starting the Strava, putting the phone into I can't keep it in my pocket when I'm running, so putting in like an arm strap or something. So I wanted to be able to, I basically just wanted my wrist to have a screen for notifications with a couple of buttons to trigger things on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yep.
The Pebble was enough.
Yep.
The Pebble still, I think, is the best smartwatch anyone ever made.
Well, because it wisely, right? It's like, yeah, I really like the OLED screens. OLED is the best screen you can get. It's really nice on the Apple Watch, but I don't need the OLED. I want the OLED screen on my phone.
Yeah.
And every other thing. I want an OLED TV.
But think about a watch.
I want
What are
OLED computer monitors. I don't need the OLED on the watch. It doesn't make a big difference there.
If a
I would rather
smartwatch-
have the LCD crapo screen of the Pebble on my wrist.
So if a smartwatch is designed to be a screen for notifications and maybe a place to have some buttons to trigger things, then what's the user experience? You need the battery to last for fucking ever,
Mm-hmm.
and you'd like the screen to always be on.
Yep.
That's something the Pebble did. But when iWatches and Android Wear watches and all these sort of real smartwatches came into the market, let's not talk about pure fitness devices because this is
I don't give
that's
a
kind of
shit.
out of scope for this. Then if I feel like the entire industry was trying to shoehorn all these other use cases that weren't
Well, I thi-
actually useful to people.
Well, I think that's the thing is you even, like I was just talking about the new iPhone 11s, right?
Yeah.
It's like I feel like they've never actually known, like, what things are people actually going to use? We don't know. Well, let's make every feature we possibly can, make every app we possibly can, and just see what people use.
Yep.
Right? It's like, oh, shit, the thing people use most on their phone is like the camera. All right, let's focus on that.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's what's happened with watches is they're in that phase where it's like, let's make the watch do every possible conceivable thing that we can imagine and see which ones people actually end up using.
But the problem with that is that as a result, you have all these half-baked experiences or these things that aren't actually that useful, which almost drive people away from smartwatches. I've seen so many people get a smartwatch like in the early generations and then decide that it doesn't do like the capabilities they were sold aren't really that useful, and then they decide smartwatches aren't useful and they stop wearing them.
I think it's more the attitude I see more often is, in my day, I had just had a regular old watch that told the time, and that was it. That was enough. You know, the same kind of Luddite attitude you see with like a smartphone where it's like, you just did a phone. It made phone calls. That's all I needed. I don't need this.
Well, you know what? It's like,
all right, fine. Well, don't have that then. And if you ask me for directions, fuck you.
It's like with Google
See
Glass.
what happens, asshole.
Google Glass
You
was
should be fucking
really
grateful
Google Glass had a great user experience and did really well at very specific tasks.
at making you look like a douchebag. Almost as bad as vaping.
We both wore them
Yeah.
for a long time.
We looked like almost as bad as someone who vaped in a fedora.
It's funny when I find old panels because we wore those things for like a year and a half.
Yeah, with the Utilica at the same time.
Yeah.
And then I
awesome.
learned.
But most of the complaints people had that weren't kind of ridiculous, like nonsense privacy concerns around Google Glass, because that camera wasn't different from other cameras, but I digress. The people complaining about the user experience were mostly complaining about things that Google Glass was never intended to do. Like, I watched video on it and it drained the battery. Like, why the fuck are you watching video on that tiny ass display?
Yep.
Like, watching a video on your watch, equally stupid.
Yep.
So now we're in an era where 5th generation, like Android watches came out. They're finally above the line where they're not just garbage. And the iWatch has, like, it is a good piece of technology.
It is way better than every Android watch.
I think the Fossil watch is fine. The current 5th gen Android Wear Android watches are really good. They're on that level. The problem is most watches are running some proprietary non-Android Wear nonsense, or they are running like some bastardized, like old version of Android Wear and they're underpowered.
Anyway.
There's a lot of bad Android watches out
because
there.
I can't get the Pebble that just does exactly what I need and nothing else.
Which is still what I want.
Yeah. Because it died, I went and got the Apple Watch, and I got the 3rd generation Apple Watch. They're already on 5th generation, but I really don't see any difference meaningful between 3 and 5. I actually got the LTE one, right? So this is really like a key feature. It cost me $10 a fucking month from Verizon.
See, I thought about that. I cannot come up with a use case for an LTE-enabled watch because I never do not have my phone with me, ever.
But that's the thing is because now, right, I don't have to have the phone with me, right? I intentionally be like, oh, I'm paying for this LTE. I don't need my phone. Leave my phone. Before, I needed the phone. I had to have it, so I would bring it. But now, LTE, it's like, oh.
So here's my main use case.
Intentionally leave the phone behind.
So, all right, if I just have my watch, am I actually going to type like responses or talk to this thing to talk to people if they message me?
So
why not just have my phone?
So the app, first of all, the Apple Watch has 3 different ways you can reply to people easily and elegantly.
Android has the same thing.
If I need to.
The typing actually works. The voice dictation is like perfect. It just works.
I've done it occasionally.
Yep,
You can also, my watch is a phone. It has its own phone number. I can make phone calls. If you were to call my phones, you don't even need to know the number for the watch, even though it does have its own number. If you just call my phone, my watch will ring. I can pick up and talk to you.
The one thing
they added a walkie-talkie feature. If you also had a watch, I could talk to you. These are like the crazy things that like I don't need.
Have you ever used those features?
I've used all the things I've mentioned. I've used at least one time.
One time. When was the last time you did a walkie-talkie call from your watch?
I've done regular phone calls though. Like, for example, I just leave my phone behind. I go biking around. I get a call. I stop and I talk.
All right. So one thing I've noticed with the iWatches in particular, though, my main use case for not having my phone, because my phone is tiny. I always have my phone. And my phone has things like full Google Maps if I like need to figure out directions or something.
My watch has full Apple Maps.
Yeah, my watch has full Google Maps now too. Cached even. But the only real use case I have for a standalone watch without the phone is that I'd like to be able to do runs and track Strava GPS without carrying my phone.
Strava does that exact. I can do that.
No, so I've looked at the even modern iWatches and people who bike and what the GPS line shows with smartphone, like even Android phone or Apple phone versus just watch, even newest iWatch. The newest iWatch is definitely less accurate than the phone.
How accurate do you need to be?
Because I'm tracking my run times like over time. I've looked at using this watch, using other watches.
Why not use the stopwatch feature?
Because I want to track my distance. I'm running like a half marathon. I have found that the watches consistently, significantly inflate how far you went because the tracking's worse and it gets a lot of jitter.
Well, I've noticed that, yes, the watch gets jitter, but my phone also gets jitter.
My phone does not. My phone compared to the watch, massive difference.
You know what's really perfect at GPS? My standalone fancy bike computer. It basically draws a perfectly straight line.
Yeah, so fitness device is the way to go with that.
But the point is that it's like, yes, the watch can do Strava all on its own with LTE. It can even upload all on its own. Doesn't need anything else. But that will kill the battery on any watch, right? You're basically that's the thing that I want to go back to the Pebble because the Pebble battery lasts several days.
But the Pebble battery
the Apple Watch battery lasts like a day and a half.
Pebble
if you do Strava, not a day.
Pebble battery only lasted several days because its GPS
it wasn't doing any of this stuff.
Was passed through to the phone.
Yeah,
and I still think the right move for the future of this technology is the phone has a big battery and a lot of horsepower, and the watch is a semi-powerful standalone device coupled with a link to that thing if you're carrying both of them.
I mean, that's the thing I don't understand is, like, there are times where if I push the Strava button on my watch, right, even if my phone is nearby, it will still do it on its own. If I want my phone to do it, I have to push start on the phone. It's like, the watch should be like, hey, is the phone nearby? No, I guess I'm on my own. Or, hey, is the phone nearby? Okay, phone, you take care of it.
So get this, that's one big difference. This Android watch does is it just uses both. It uses whichever one's more accurate at the time. Like automatically. If I have my phone in my pocket and I use the watch to trigger it, it's just perfect, no jitter. If I don't have my phone, it does the shitty jitter.
Well, there's no reason that the Apple Watch can't do that. It's just the people who made the Strava Apple Watch app didn't program it that way, right? But yeah, it's there's other stuff going on. Let's see what else.
Basically, the difference between the Pebble like minimalist watch and a current because I have a modern 5th generation Android smartwatch, which has all these extra features. The only other feature I use is the real-time directions because they are fantastic.
I don't use the directions too often, but they're on there.
I especially walking directions because I tend to be like in London.
Usually I'll just put the directions in on my phone, but then like as I'm walking, the watch will announce the directions.
Mine does that by default, but I can also hit a button and then it'll just show the streaming directions with the arrows and the top-down map on the watch.
All right, so other features on my watch I actually use, right? The number one thing actually that I use on there is QR codes to get into things.
Yep.
Right? It's like at the movie theater, beep. Even at the airport, beep.
So
I can go to Madison Square Garden to show my wrist, beep.
So
go right in.
2 of the airports I've flown in recently specifically will not let you use your watch. You have to use a phone.
Oh, I haven't had that problem.
Yeah, they won't let you use the watch, or the no watch screen will scan.
Right.
Specifically, iWatch scrings will never scan at these airports.
Anyway, Spotify, you can control my music just by looking at the watch.
I use that. The big one I use actually is I bound, because my watch has 2 hardware buttons. I bound it to the Google Authenticator app. So I can just hit a button and I see all my codes. That is killer. Instead of taking my phone out or getting my YubiKey.
I can pay for stuff with the watch, with the Apple Pay. That's pretty good.
I can do that with Android Pay now. I like that. But I never use that.
I use it.
Because I just use my credit card everywhere.
No, I use Apple Pay a lot.
A lot of places I go don't take Apple Pay.
I mean,
most restaurants I go to don't take it.
Tons of places I go now I use it constantly.
Yeah, most restaurants I've been to do not take it.
Well, I mean, only restaurants where they bring a thing to your.
Yeah. So as a result, I have to have my my watch does not let me go without my credit card. So I still have to bring my wallet until the Apple Pay or the Android Pay would mean I can do everything I would do without my wallet. It's worthless.
Even so,
it's
cool,
like, yeah,
I
can't rely on it.
No, but even though I have my wallet with me, right? It's faster to just pay with the Apple Pay.
That
so
is true.
I just use it if I can, which is a lot.
But I found that most places I pay for something do not take it.
Most places I pay for something do
Most
take
markets I go to, most
u-
bodegas I go to,
lunch
most restaurants I go to.
lunch almost every day, every
Oh,
drugstore.
almost no lunch place I go to takes
Every
it.
lunch place I go to takes
Like
it.
literally none of them take it except like the Pret.
I don't know where you're going, but the places I go, almost every place takes it.
Nah.
Grocery store takes it. Every place.
I don't think our grocery store takes it.
Several grocery stores take it. All the ones I go to.
Yeah, my haircut place doesn't
I think
take
maybe
it.
you're not realizing that places take it when they do. I think people are like surprised because there's some places that are like Apple Pay here and they're like announcing it. There's a lot of places where there's just like a little wireless symbol and you're like, is it gonna work? I don't know. And so you don't try
Well,
it.
you know what I found?
And
The
they're
place-
not announced. You don't see the logos. You're not sure. But guess what? Oh, it fucking works if you try to use it.
It's funny because most of the places when I ask, they specifically don't take it. But the places that tend to
A lot
take
of places don't think they take it because they don't know either.
the places that tend to take it and it just works are the places that have like a square device that they're using as their payment
It
system.
works in like places that don't even realize they take it actually take
You
it.
know where it doesn't fucking work? Overseas, like anywhere.
Oh no, yeah, that's not gonna.
Yeah, but that is like once you get out of the U.S., like good fucking luck doing that kind of thing in a lot of places.
Yep. Yeah.
But
I got an app for timers when I'm cooking.
Yeah, I
On
use
my
like
watch.
timer apps.
So I'm gonna take my phone out and risk getting messed up cooking.
Yep. Seeing the upcoming weather, that's something I stick in there.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. You know, a lot of people get those old watches with like weather and stuff. It's
Yup.
like no. I get real, actual, live weather. Like exact what temperature is it here? What temperature is it gonna be? Everything.
And
I got
literally,
the sun exactly.
the only other features I use, there are only two, and 99% of what a smartwatch could do, kind of like a smartphone, not actually that useful, is Google Keep, so I can take a quick note when someone says the name of some movie at a party,
Yep.
and I'm going to forget to watch that movie the next day,
Yep.
or I have an idea for a show, I just really quick, like, stick it into Google Keep on the watch. That's actually been really helpful to remember to talk about stuff on Geek Nights.
Yeah, that's good.
And number two is the button to find my phone if I don't know where my phone is. That's it.
That's good too.
Yeah. But I find that a lot of people treat their smartphone and their smartwatch in the same kind of wrong way, where they always ask the question of, what cool apps can I get on the device
Well,
to do a
that's
cool thing?
that's just a problem in general. People,
when they should be asking, what do I want this thing to do? Then, can it do this thing I want it to do?
which app does that thing?
Yep.
If you can't think of the thing to do, right? It's like whenever I get a new computer, I don't install any software besides the OS and the web browser. And then what I do is I use my computer and and it's like, all right, I want to play a game now. Well, now I will install Steam then, right?
Yep.
It's like until I actually want to do a thing, I don't get an app to do a thing. People go out and they like install a fuck ton of apps and it's like, are you using those apps?
Well, thus here, do not get a smartwatch if you don't know why you want a smartwatch. Like, you articulate what you want other than it's a smartwatch. Like, specifically. Like, for us, I wanted to show me notifications and do, like, 4 other things. And I was willing to pay money for those things. If you don't have a thing you need it for, just use a regular watch and your phone. Or just your phone. Fitness trackers, I guess, are a very special purpose thing, but I think that, like I said, that's kind of out of bounds for what we're talking about today. I do wish there was a new equivalent of Google Glass. I'd like to still have that screen, and I'd like to have the one thing I'd like to be able to do is just really quick take a picture without getting my phone out. And I don't want a camera on my watch. I feel like that's going to be a pain in the ass.
I can remotely fire a camera from my watch.
I can
so
do the same.
I can set my phone up somewhere and then be like, pew.
I would like to have a Google Glass 2 with a better design, because I would use the just take a picture by winking.
It needs to just look like glasses so no one knows.
Yeah, mostly because stupid people got mad about it, even though getting out your phone and doing the exact same thing did not bother them.
Nope.
Also-
or the fact that there are security cameras everywhere did not bother
Yep.
them.
Also, the fact that they're not mad about that Instagram glasses, they're only mad about Google Glass.
Yeah, I don't know. People.
Yeah, but smartwatch
It's
ain't gonna
just
solve that.
just design. Design makes all the difference.
Also, though, my smartwatch has a feature that is ridiculous. It has a full-on speaker in it.
Yeah, so does mine.
Yeah, it can just make noise, like lots of noise. It's really loud, and I turned the shit off.
I can play music on mine. I can
Yeah.
stream music directly to the watch from the internet and play
Yep.
it.
I can load like music into this thing, and even without the LTE, and it'll just cache it and play music for me either out of the speaker or directly via Bluetooth to my Bluetooth headphones.
Yep, you can do that.
And I don't really need that feature because I always have my watch with me, and I don't ever listen to music when I'm biking or running because that's kind of dangerous, and also I don't need to fill every gap in my life with background noise.
No, but it is a.
But it is
a
an
thing.
option. It's there. That's a perfectly valid use case for a smartwatch.
But yeah, it's like basically every feature from the phone that could be minified has been minified.
Yep. Do you need another screen that's easier to see quickly? Then get a smartwatch. All right.